Good afternoon, guys. My name is Liddy, and today we're going to be talking about the best Sorceress build that I have played in Season 5. Now, this is the season of the Infernal Hordes, even though that isn't a seasonal mechanic. As a result of that, a lot of these builds tend to be catered towards farming the Hordes. This one is the best that I've seen as far as clearing the trash mobs and just the total full screen AoE clear in Diablo 5. And if that's something you like, just melting entire screens, this is the build for you. Take a look. I'm going to quickly go over a few things and then show you guys the planner. Now, I have mainly focused on critical strike damage and critical strike chance in this build. And the main reason being, we want to crit as much as possible because our fireballs do a lot of damage. Now you might have seen the thumbnail and think that this is some kind of clickbait because this isn't the damage you see there. Once you have cast a few fireballs and have your buffs up, you will in fact be over 1,100,000 base damage with this build. It does a lot of damage, and it is not terrible for single target. It is more than capable of killing tormented bosses, Lilith, etc. It's just the really beefy bosses at the end of the Infernal Hordes in Tier 8, or stuff like pit bosses in maybe 130, 140, things with a gigantic life pool that have been scaled to oblivion. That's where we're going to struggle a little bit as far as single target goes. But as far as clearing the entire screen of ads, even in a 4-man group, this build does the job very, very well. In the description, you will find the Max Roll Planner link. We're going to go over the skills really quickly. We're putting some points in Firebolt just because we're going to end up using it as an enchantment, so we have to have some points there. We are going for a 5 out of 5 in Fireball, and we will end up with 36 ranks in this if you're able to get your gear right. We are taking Enhanced and Greater Fireball, and the main reason of this is dealing 10% of the burning damage you've applied as additional direct damage. Most of this is coming from the Firebolt enchantment because unfortunately, Fireball itself doesn't burn. We're going to take Devastation in order to get to Elemental Dominance. This is just a 12 times multiplier, well, 12% multiplier, increased damage when cast above 50 mana, which is always. We come down and we grab 3 ranks of Elemental Attunement. This is a lucky hit proc, but it essentially has the chance to reset both of our shields, and we really want those to be reset as much as possible, especially if we're pushing later game content, or if we're in the Hordes in a 3 or 4 man in Tier 8s or even Tier 7s. It's really nice to always have that barrier or that immortality in the case of the Flame Shield. We take Glass Cannon because it is 18% multiplicative increased damage. We take Teleport and Shimmering Teleport. Our Flame Shield is going to be shimmering as well, and our Ice Armor will also be shimmering. Pretty self-explanatory and easy to remember. Down here we're going to take Summoned Ice Blades. This is essentially for extra cooldown on all of our skills. This helps tremendously. Lightning Spear is going to be invoked, and this is essentially to stun enemies. We want the stun because we do a lot of extra damage to stunned enemies, a ton of it. We're going to take 1 point and align the elements, both because damage reduction against elites is nice, but also so we can get 3 points into Mana Shield and 3 points into Protection. Coming on down, we're going to put 3 points in Icy Veil. The main reason being we are in a barrier about 100% of the time. We take 3 points in Inner Flame. We're using Pyromancy skills. This is pretty self-explanatory. And we take 3 ranks in Devouring Blaze. This is a 7% multiplier for every point that you have in it. So this is a priority, and we're actually going to end up going for that on our amulet as well. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Down at the bottom here, we are going to take Fiery Surge. Burning enemies, dying increases your mana regen. That's useful, but we mostly use it to get to Soulfire. This is going to make our Pyromancy skills cost 12% less and deal 6% multiple damage. It's very nice. We take Warmth, and we run Warmth on our pants as well for a temper, because it's just extra healing. Last but not least, we do take Essu's Ferocity. Essentially the way that works is, you have more crit when they're under half health, and you deal more damage to them when they're above 50% health. So it's healthy balance. And then of course, critical strikes that kill enemies or hit a boss grant both bonuses against all enemies for 3 seconds. So when you are killing stuff, you essentially have a permanent 10% increased crit chance and 25% multiplicative increased crit damage. Beautiful stuff. I will let you guys go over the Paragon yourself. This is very strongly influenced by, I believe is it Lurkin on Mobilytics? This 8 glyph board is the max damage board that he actually runs on his version of this, and all credit to him for this one. I made some changes with some points, but that's about it. This layout in general was kudos to him, and it works very, very well. The equipment is something that I will allow you guys to go over, but I will quickly hover over things. The general idea, of course, is you want to have a good bit of movement speed, all of your ranks in Fireball, all of your ranks in Devouring Blaze, critical strike chance or critical strike damage, and cooldown. Those are the most important things to hit with your masterworks. You definitely want to get the cooldown because we are focusing on having all of our cooldowns available and ready on a whim, because they also give us barriers. So it's a win-win. Storm Swell right now is actually double dipping, so we use it in our amulet slot to get the extra 50% increase to the aspect. You can see it deals 45% multiplicative increased damage to vulnerable enemies, which is most of them, while we have a barrier. And we always have a barrier, so we always have this huge multiplier, and again, it double dipping just means that it's even more damage. So we're going to use that in our amulet. So yeah, that's essentially how this build goes. I could show you guys a quick like Nightmare Dungeon or Infernal Hordes tier 7 or something just to get it out of the way. So we'll go ahead and knock out a tier 7 to see what it looks like, give you guys an idea of how a solo tier 7 without any preparation or even any elixirs will look. So pretty simple enough. You're basically going to be right clicking and piano key tapping all of your cooldowns when they're readily available. But as you can see, we can essentially one-shot everything as it spawns. Now with the elites it does change a bit, but they're still pretty susceptible to getting killed in just an attack or two. That is essentially what a wave will look like. This is a tough decision. We got really good options here. All 3 of these are solid. The best one, of course, is going to be Hellborns, so we're going to take that one. Just to give you guys an idea of how well it handles the Hellborns and things of that nature, because those are some stronger elites. There they are, and there they go. With all of these being pretty we're going to go ahead and call it quits on the video. I'm going to finish this. You're going to enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.